Join the Our Game Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material. So Dublin are Leinster champions for the 11th time in a row after beating Kildare by 20 points to 1-9 at Croke Park. Great goal from Daniel Flynn towards the end of the game. Just after the hour mark, he turned over James McCarthy, burst through Johnny Cooper and blasted the ball into the top corner. It was a fabulous finish, but all it did really is stop the rot and what had been a rotten run for Kildare in the game. At half-time, it was 9-5. It could easily have been closer. They brought it back to 9-6 just after half-time. Daniel Flynn with a lovely bomb of a score. But from then, Dublin did kind of just take over. Kildare got another point, 2 points before the water break, but Dublin just kicked on. There was scores from Dean Rock from a free, Niall Scully, Paddy Small, a Mark score from Scully, and Kieran Kilkenny, who had been fairly subdued in the first half. He got a couple of scores, one a beauty with his left foot from about 35 yards, and then another one where he just stopped and burst through the Kildare defence and knocked it over. And it's just the accuracy of Dublin. That was the thing. As I was watching the second half of Kildare and even the first half, you were like, the execution levels just aren't going to be there. That Dublin, they certainly haven't been themselves in the last few games. Second half against Kerry in the league, they only scored 1-3. Then to beat Wexford 15 points to 7, very unlike them. For huge parts of the second half against Meath, couldn't really get a score. Meath made a massive run, and if they had more belief, they could have done something. And Kildare, the same here. The Dublin that we've seen over the last number of years, it's just not quite the same. Whether that's Cluxton not being there, Jim Gavin not being there, the 15 players that are no longer part of the panel since Gavin's last panel in the 2019 replayed All-Ireland. There are a lot of reasons, but the accuracy of Dublin in the second half here was much improved. They had a grand total of 12 attempts at the post, scored 11 of them. Contrast that with Kildare, they scored 5 of 11 chances in the second half and just 2 out of 6 opportunities in the final quarter. They ran out of steam a little bit, but Kildare, if there was more belief and maybe just a little bit more quality, or if they didn't quite need to go with the sweeper, to be honest, they probably did. But like Dublin's big names, they just weren't firing. So that's why the opportunity was there for Kildare. And I'm just looking at some of the big names for Dublin, like Kieran Kilkenny in the first half, as I said, delivered in the second half, but a couple of times he was turned over for steps in the first half. He got a point, had a couple of wides. Con had a nice score at one stage, didn't set the world alight. He generally saves that for Croke Park in the bigger games, again, getting goals in All-Ireland finals and so on, but didn't happen for him. He was taken off later on. Brian Fenton pretty much invisible in the first half, and the second half didn't really happen either. Dean Rock taken off, not looking too happy, but I don't really think he can have much complaints. He didn't play particularly well. Did knock over a free, got a point early on in the game, set up by James McCarthy, but no. And I think this is the thing for Dessie Farrell now. Does he change the team or does he stick with it? Because this isn't Dublin of old. Like they did enough to get over the line, and that's what you want really. And maybe they're peaking and doing their periodization in terms of training to peak for the All-Ireland semi-final, which is going to be coming up on the 14th of August, Saturday, 6 p.m. at Croke Park. But maybe not. If they've gotten it wrong, their season could be over, and they look as vulnerable as they've ever looked. It's a couple of the other things that stood out to me here was the turnover scores that they got off Kildare in the first half. I just marked out a few of them. Cormac Costello, do you know what? He's kicking on. He obviously got 4 points in the game here. Just check if he got an extra one. No, he got 4 points because he got the last one, the 19th score. And Collie Basquel got one more after that as well to make it 20. But Costello got 4 points, and he seems to have a license to, be a little bit more creative than he was under Jim Gavin, in the sense of take chances and the kind of things that Diarmuid Connolly probably had taken out of his game to some degree. That taking on unlikely scoring chances. But Dublin in general took on plenty of them. Like Dean Rock blasted one ridiculous ball in the first half, and it went short. Kildare had 6 balls dropped short into the goalkeeper's hand by midway through the second half, and actually it was 7 for a finish, which is a bit of a killer. But the turnover scores: 13th minute, Cormac Costello got a point from a turnover. Paddy Small hit the post off another one. Con dropped one short. Costello got another one. Con got a point. Like it's just turnover scores all over here, and that's a killer. You have to work so hard to get the ball off Dublin. They hold on to it forever. They wear you down, and then to just gift it back to them or hit it straight to Evan Comerford is very frustrating. There was one period of the game, and I'd love to know what you think of it there, that really said to me, this is not quite the Dublin of old. I think it was around the 38th, maybe 39th minute. Dublin had held the ball for, I would say, 2 minutes inside the Kildare half of the field. A few times they were almost turned over. I think Kieran Kilkenny did unbelievably well to keep the ball and keep the ball in his hands at one stage, and the Hoganson stand side around inside the 21. A few other guys were turned backward. They swung it around to the far side of the field, and Sean McMahon eventually got turned over. And I was thinking this is brilliant from Kildare, because normally if you haven't turned Dublin over early, which few can do, they'll then finally get a hole somewhere else. But they actually did burst through, but pretty soon then up the other end, Luke Flynn caught an unbelievable mark from a great ball in from Daniel Flynn, hit it wide. That would have been 10-7 with a half an hour plus injury time to go. He misses it. I think that sucked a little bit of the life out of Kildare. But I just think a team with more belief might have been able to kick on against Dublin here, and that's where Mayo, what can they do in the semi-final? But yeah, just Kildare don't have quite the quality just yet. Just looking at some of the comments, Owen here, can Dublin improve their performance for the Mayo game? That's it. You can't just switch form on overnight. Jamie Wallace adds, disappointing from Kildare, to be honest. Expected more. Let Dublin pass it around them at the end. No intensity at all, and also too reliant on Daniel Flynn, the forward line. Luke Flynn also impressed me. Took Fenton out of the game. So yeah, like plenty of the players did do well. It's just they just lack a little something. Ben McCormick had 4 bad misses in the first half, and just as the second half wore on, they just didn't have just hitting bad wides, like Derek Kerwin even near the end, very poor wide, and just bad choices. And I suppose when you're playing at this intensity against a very good team, albeit a team that's probably not at the same level it was, you have to be able to convert those chances. So Dublin through to the All-Ireland semi-final. Dublin against Mayo, that's coming on the 14th of August, 6 p.m. at Croke Park. Kerry will play Tyrone the following day at 3:30. So All-Ireland semi-finals to look forward to. Let me know what your thoughts are and who you think is going to go on and win the All-Ireland. As Martin McAndrew added, dropping the ball short is energy sapping when playing defensively. It absolutely is, and it costs Kildare here. Join the Our Game Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material.